Hey, welcome to the Client Alchemy Show. Client Alchemy Show, episode number 5. Episode number 5. And today's episode is going to be where we talk about wrongly thinking that you must demonstrate your expertise. Wrongly thinking you must demonstrate your expertise. So, as I said, this is the Client Alchemy Show. My name is Dov Gordon. Some of you have been here before. Some of you, this is your first time. DovGordon.net is our website. The Alchemist Entrepreneur is our little coaching business where we help consultants, coaches, and experts to create a consistent flow of ideal clients. And by doing that, you add $100,000 to $500,000 a year to your income consistently. Today is episode 5. We're going to be diving into, like I said, wrongly thinking that you must demonstrate your expertise, which is a mistake that we see our clients make from time to time, and I want to go into that. It's also about an important idea that one of the first things I noticed when I started my coaching business years ago, which is that the change you want has to become clearer than the path that you're on. The change you want has to become clearer than the path that you're on, or you stay on the path that you're on. And we'll get into that a little bit later. In episode 4, episode 4, we talked about how that I believe your job, my job, every single day is to be free and to lead others to freedom. That was episode number 4. And most people think about freedom completely backwards, the way they think about freedom. Most people think, when I have money, that will make me free. When I have money, that will make me free. But the truth is, first you have to exercise the freedom that you have already, and then you'll be free. First, exercise the freedom you already have, and then you'll be free. And I'm mentioning this is because episode 5, today's episode, builds a little bit on episode 4. The truth is, all the episodes build one upon the other, going all the way back to episode number 1. 2 builds on 1, 3 builds on 1 and 2, 4, and so on. So I'm not going to repeat everything we talked about, but I will encourage that you, after this, if you found any of this insightful or anything I do insightful, go to dovgordon.net/YouTube, and that will forward you to our YouTube page where we've been uploading the previous episodes. And once you're there, if you like any of them, find them helpful, which I sure hope you will, leave a comment, press the thumbs up button, share it, subscribe to the channel there so you're notified of future videos that we upload, and ask questions. Be in touch. Feel free to use the chat throughout this. I'll check it certainly at the end. And if anybody wants to speak up at the end and have a quick conversation, ask a question, I'm certainly happy to do that. Okay. So today, I want to look at a common situation for many consultants, coaches, experts, where we don't even realize how we're mentally enslaved, right? Because that's the brain. Mentally enslaved because of our mindsets. We're slaves as opposed to being free. Again, that's what we talked about back in episode number 4, okay? To be free and to lead others to freedom. So we don't even realize how we're mentally enslaved. The common situation that I refer to is when you, as a consultant, coach, expert, and I know this from my own personal experience as I was struggling to figure this business out, you're talking to a prospect and you have this feeling that you need to prove yourself. I need to demonstrate my expertise, or I need to establish my credibility, or you feel that you need to prove how smart you are, or you need to prove that I need to show them how I can help them. And this often will show up in a sales conversation where you end up talking too much. You ever end up talking too much? If you know what I'm talking about, you can chat that, put it in the chat box. You end up talking too much because you think, if I can show them how good I am, they'll want to work with me. And you probably know from your own experience that almost never works. That usually does not work. As one of our clients in our 100-day sprint put it recently, and I quote, if I manage the sales conversations to a point where I must explicitly tout my superiority, I've actually mismanaged it. And I like the way he said that. It's very well said. If I manage a sales conversation to a point where I have to actually have to tout my superiority, I've actually mismanaged it. Now, I do want to say this. It is true that your expertise must be demonstrated. However, you do not want to be worrying about demonstrating your expertise. And I'm going to lay this out and make this clear. Because it's true that your credibility must be established. It's true that they need to clearly see that you can help them, that you know your stuff. But there's an important difference between you thinking, I need to demonstrate my expertise, oh no, right? And you recognizing that your expertise must be demonstrated. And the big difference is, what kind of energy is this rooted in? What's motivating you with what you're thinking, what you're saying, and what you're doing, okay? Generally, when you're concerned about demonstrating your expertise, it's rooted in an energy of worry and fear. That's where it's coming from. You worry that your prospect won't appreciate who you are, they won't appreciate what you can do for them, and as a result, you're afraid that you'll lose out on this opportunity, you lose out on this potential client, on the deal. Now notice, that's not freedom. That's you, all right, being afraid. And if you're acting out of worry or fear about something that you cannot control, you're not exercising your freedom. You're being enslaved by something you can't control, which is somebody else. What somebody else does or might think. And your freedom is right there for you to take, right? But you have to exercise it. Again, I refer you back to episode number 4, which you can find at dovgordon.net/YouTube, okay? So we go into that in more detail. Now, as we said, your expertise does need to be demonstrated. And ironically, the best way to do that is to stop worrying about it. And instead, what you think, what you say, what you do with a potential client, it has to come from a place of calm, clear confidence. When it's coming from a place of calm, clear confidence, then naturally you're going to be demonstrating your expertise. It will be demonstrated without the extra baggage of the wrong energy coming through and poisoning everything you're doing. And to create a consistent flow of ideal clients, which is how you add 100,000 plus per year, you need to be working every single day from a place of calm, clear confidence. Now, when you hear what I'm saying so far, when you hear this, you know, I think we all get it. We all can instantly really see that those times when I felt driven out of worry or fear to prove myself, to demonstrate, we can instantly see that that doesn't make any sense. And I think on some level, we all would like to avoid that. The question is, why do we worry about proving our expertise? Why do we fall into this trap? And for those of us who end up falling into it repeatedly, why do we fall into it repeatedly? And the answer is because the change you want has to be clearer than the path that you're on, or you're going to stay on the path that you're on. You'll always fall back to what's clearer, what you already know how to do. Now, I learned this lesson in one of my first coaching clients, going back 16 years ago. He was the owner of a uniform manufacturing business, a smallish business. They would manufacture specialty uniforms for schools and businesses in their city, and maybe beyond. And while visiting him, I noticed that he spent an awful lot of time carrying sacks of raw cloth from this side of the warehouse to that side of the warehouse, and then carrying stacks of nice pressed uniforms from that side of the warehouse to this side of the warehouse. How many of you find yourself, you can use the chat there, how many of you find yourself doing the equivalent of carrying raw, bags of raw cloth from one side of the warehouse to the other side, and stacks of red uniforms when you're the business owner? How many of you find yourself doing that from time to time? Or perhaps, well, I guess what I meant to say is, how many of you are doing that more often than you should? And we already have a number of yeses here. Okay, so yes. A reminder, everybody, feel free to reply to everybody, right? To not just to the panelists. Okay, so we all understand, we can all relate to that. So I noticed this guy doing that, and you notice yourself doing the equivalent, where you're just kind of spinning your wheels, going in circles. And what I mean, Craig asks if I mean not delegating. I don't mean not delegating. I mean doing the kinds of things that aren't really moving you forward, doing the kinds of things that aren't going to, that aren't really what you should be doing. You should be doing something else. In this guy's case, he should have been doing some, that's not business owner work, especially when you have a team. Now, if you're the only person, then maybe your question is, if it's just me, then I have to do everything. Well, the answer to that is, I bet if you look at all the things you're doing, and if you stop doing 80% of them, you'd be a lot more productive. So that's the way to think about it. So I asked myself, why is he doing this? Why is he doing this? And I realized it was because he was doing what he knew how to do. That was the path that he'd always been on. And he'd brought me in to help him learn to see the change, to help him make the change that he wanted, so that he can see the he brought me in so that the change he wanted to make would become clearer than the path that he was already on. He realized that he cannot see it for himself clearly enough. He needs to bring somebody else in to help him make that change, because the change you want has to become clearer than the path that you're on. Or every time you hit a wall, every time you lose clarity, every time you're not sure what to do, you have a setback, a disappointment, or you get upset about something, you lose control, of mental toughness of your emotion or thinking, you fall back to your old habits. Now, this is what happens when you're thinking that you have to be, I have to demonstrate my expertise and so on. You're essentially allowing yourself to become mentally enslaved to what a potential client might be thinking. Right? And the reason we fall back into that habit is because it's what we've always done, right? It's what we've always been doing. It's the path that we've always been on, and it's the path that many of us are still on. The path of falling back and being worried and fearful, and making our decisions and deciding what to say and what to do and what our priorities should be, from a place of worry and fear about running out of money, worry and fear about not getting the deal, and so on and so forth. That's your habit. That's the path that you're on. And until you change it, you need to learn how to change that to a place where you're working from a place of calm, clear confidence. And then where the place of calm, clear confidence becomes clearer than the old path of worry and fear, that becomes your new default. That becomes your new default. And I'm sure you've experienced this. This is not something that you experience once, you break through and you're there forever, never again. It's a matter of there's always another level. And if you're at that place where you should be able to add $100,000 or more to your business consistently, then that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the level that you're at, the topic that we're at, where you're probably coming from a place of just falling back on the things that you know how to do. Now, to do that, to get to a place where you're no longer reacting, where you're no longer feeling that you need to prove your expertise, but you're working from a place of calm, clear confidence. Well, there's a certain number of things that you have to get clear first. And I think of these as the critical 10% that give you 90% of what you want. And that's exactly why so many talented and capable consultants, coaches, and experts end up joining our Plenty of Clients 100-day sprint. Because in the 100 days that we work with you, we're working with you to create a new path, to create the change, to make that crystal clear, so that it's not about lots and lots of things. It's often about cutting and doing less. And if you go back to episode number 1, which I highly recommend, we talked about in episode number 1, the master model of a consistent flow of ideal clients, the master model of a consistent flow of ideal clients. And you've got to get all these things clear, or it's got to be clear so that you know what you're doing at every level. And when you have that clear, you're able to work from a place of calm, clear confidence. I think it was episode 3 we talked about how to always know what to do next, right? And episode 2 we talked about how sales is leadership. So if everything I talked about so far, if there's something that resonates, go back and make sure you catch some of the previous episodes. I was saying in the 100-day sprint, one of the things that a lot of the things that we work on is we're working on helping you get really clear how to helping you clarify precisely what's the service that you actually should be selling. Sometimes you need to change it. Sometimes it can be continuing what you're doing. We help you get crystal clear about your ideal client, your target market, your niche, things that we all talk about, but it's usually overcomplicated, right? We're looking for simplicity on the far side of complexity here. We help you get crystal clear about how to talk about what you do with a simple, compelling message. We help you get crystal clear about how to present your ideas in a way that ensures that your credibility is demonstrated, so that you don't need to worry about demonstrating your credibility. It should be demonstrated just by the way you're presenting your ideas. We help you organize and develop these ideas into a presentation. Some people will call that your signature talk, or whatever, a lead magnet. It could be used in so many different ways. And the key, though, is how you're presenting your ideas. We need to help you organize your ideas into a method that when you present it, your ideal clients become interested. They become eager. They become instantly interested in what you're talking about. We call that the eavesdrop effect. That's what I was trying to get out earlier, out of my mouth. We help you develop a simple get noticed sequence so that everything you're doing is adding up. And help you master the elegant sales conversation so you're not winging it in your sales conversations, and so much more. These are the things that free you up from worrying about what the potential client is thinking. These are the things that free you from being overly concerned about demonstrating your credibility, demonstrating your expertise, making sure they think that you're smart, and so on, most of which doesn't really work. And there really is a lot more that we do. And the only reason we're able to do all this in 100 days is because we take the approach of simplicity on the far side of complexity. As you know, there are so many people out there who'll sell you a program to develop just one of these areas for $10,000 or $15,000 or $20,000 or $25,000, $30,000. But the reason that we're able to help you build all of that out for less than any of that is because we work from first principles. There's a critical 10% that lies beneath all of that that enables you to look brilliant 90% of the time. And we've isolated a very small number of skills that lie at the root of all those things. And we've developed this 100-day plan of exactly how to build that out step by step so that you can achieve maximum leverage with everything you're doing. And everything you do starts to add up to a consistent flow of ideal clients. So if the path that you're on is one where you're feeling stuck, if it's one where you're reacting to worry about what this next client is going to think of you, will they recognize what you can do? Should you offer this way or that way? All these kinds of inner conflict, right? Usually you're in a situation where you have an inner knowing that you have what to offer. You've got so much to offer, but it's clouded by all these inner conflicts, these doubts and so on. And that's where you're not, exercising your freedom, which we talked about in episode 4, right? Previous episodes, dovgordon.net/YouTube. And so if the path that you're on is not clear, if the change that you want is not as clear as the path that you've been on, right? And you're feeling stuck on the path, the same old path, you've been trying to get off, but you just keep falling back to the same old thing, then this is something that we probably could help you with in our Plenty of Clients 100-day sprint. We work with only maximum 100 people a year. Over the next few years, we'll probably expand that slowly. But at this point, the way we work with everybody in a small hands-on group, very limited. So this is not one of these product launches and courses and so on. So like we maximum work with 100 people a year. We don't do these $1 million launches. It's just not what excites me personally. You know what excites me personally? What excites me is that client we had who I taught him how to market and sell to companies, to the company owners, rather than to his colleagues. He's an engineering type. We do well with engineering types, help them, figure things out, the marketing and sales of their expertise. So we helped this guy figure out how to sell to company owners, to market and sell to them, rather than to engineers who he saw as his peers. And as a result, he was able to quit his job. He was able to move his family, his wife and kids back to a different city where they wanted to live closer to their families. That's what excites me. You know what excites me? What excites me is the client who was losing his self-respect because his wife, who had been so supportive, but he hadn't been able to kind of repay her support with actual results. And it excites me to see that he's finally on fire again and able to sit down and knows exactly what to do. And he's trying to put one foot in front of the other. And she could see the difference too. What excites me is not the multi-million-dollar launch, although I suppose it would for a while, but it just doesn't drive me. I have no desire to do that. So what excites me is the client we had who's a marketing consultant, and she's very good at helping others with their messaging, but she couldn't nail it for herself. And that's very common. Don't feel bad if you're able to help somebody else with their business and you're struggling with your own. That's pretty common. So she couldn't nail it for herself, and she was like this keg of bottled up potential, and we were able to help her release that, right? She was frustrated and under earning, and through the 100-day sprint, now she's thriving, and she's got a consistent flow of ideal clients, and we just got a wonderful email from her just a couple of weeks ago. These are the things that excite me, and it's the reason that we do what we do, And this episode, we talked more about things we do inside our business than in any of the previous episodes. But I felt that it's important that we get to this because there's a certain amount that you can learn from a lot of the great free information and the free training that we put out there. And it's better than a lot of what people charge for. But there's also a certain amount that at some point you have to decide, and some people will, if you want to make a real change, you need to get some real help. And because, it's all about, to some degree, it's about awareness, being able to make the change, the change you want. In order for the change you want to become clearer than the path that you're on, a lot of that happens not from reading a book or from getting some information. You get that by having an experience with somebody else who has already mastered what you want to master. And it's the nuance in their feedback. It's the nuance in their nudging and their guidance. It's the things they can point out to you. It's the bits and pieces that you can never get from reading a book or a course or just collecting information on the internet. And that's why we do what we do, and that's why I enjoy what we do. It's because we're able to provide that for so many people, and possibly for you. So if you're somebody who knows you should be able to add $100,000 or more to your income consistently, year after year, going forward, then you and I should probably talk and see if you're somebody that I feel we can help in the context of our Plenty of Clients 100-day sprint. And an easy way to do that is, just as a next step, you can go to dovgordon.net/chat, fill out that form, share some of your backgrounds, have a sense of who you are. And if it seems like you're somebody that I can help, I'll send you a link where you can schedule time for us to speak, and we'll take it from there. Pretty obvious, it should be pretty obvious that we don't pressure anybody. We don't do high pressure sales. If we don't think we can help you, we will tell you even before you tell us. On the other hand, if we think we could help you, we'll tell you that too. All right, if anybody has any questions, feel free to raise your hand or type in the chat box. I'd be very happy to see if there are any questions that I can answer. And if not, we will call it a day. All right, so this chat box, there is a way of raising your hand somewhere that you should be able to see. No questions or comments? Questions or comments? Oh, we do have a raised hand. All right, let's see. Vishal, I'm promoting you to panelist. Usually I will warn people that they might be on camera, but I don't think I have to warn you at all. Vishal, go ahead. Testing. Testing.
Yeah, I was muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I hear you now. How are you?
There you go, sir. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for the great session. My question is, many times you talk about this unclear message, right? Is there a point when, because I mean, there is no, like, one of the things, I've heard from you and Jason is, the journey toward mastery is one that never ends. So we never get to that, like, okay, I'm perfect. Like, how do I know that my message is absolutely crystal clear to my audience? Like, I mean, I'm getting clients and it's happening, but day by day, when I self-reflect on the things, I know that though I'm getting clients, I can be far more better in terms of my messaging. So when do I know, or how do I know that, okay, I've hit the nail on the head on the message and it's being really, really taken very nicely from the people?
On the one hand, I think it's a really good question, and I appreciate you asking it. On the other hand, I think it's the wrong question, and I'll explain why. Okay?
Sure.
Because your business is a lot more than a simple, compelling message. A simple, compelling message is one of the things that we teach and help people with. Is a very important part of a marketing and selling system. Absolutely. However, it is not the only thing that matters, and you need to look at your whole business as a flow. And in one of the earlier episodes, was it last? It was either episode 3. I think it was episode 3. Right, we talked about this. Right, we just kind of walk people through this process, and you can it helps you always know where to optimize, because you'll never hit perfection. There'll never be a perfect system, a perfect process. So you have to ask yourself, where am I getting stuck? Where's the bottleneck? Where's the constraint?
Right.
And if the message seems to be working pretty well, people seem to connect with it and resonate, well, okay, where else are things not, where else might be the next constraint? Where are we getting stuck? Where would we like to see, where else would we like to see better results that we're not seeing it? And often you'll find that, oh, okay, maybe it's over here, or maybe it's over there. And another way of looking at it is, what's the point of highest leverage, right? For example, if the message seems to be working really well, how could we get it in front of more people? Might be a much better question than, is my message as good as it could be? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, got it. So that's like a vital question, but not the only question.
Absolutely. Right? Yes.
Yeah.
Good
awesome.
question.
Thank you so much.
Good to hear from you. All right. Anybody else? You can raise your hand, and we can ask, put you, talk to you, or you can type something in the chat box, and if not, we will call it a day. How do I move you back down? I guess somehow he figured it out for himself. Okay. All right. I'm not seeing any more raised hands. I welcome you. The plan is to be doing this once a week, Thursdays, 1 p.m. Eastern. So keep an eye open for next week as well. Again, if you would like to find out if you're somebody that I feel we can help in a significant way, the first place is to ask yourself, do you feel that you should be able to add $100,000 or more per year to your income consistently? And if you kind of have that inner knowing that you should be able to do that, but you've been spinning your wheels, kind of stuck, not sure where to go, being pulled this way and that, shiny objects and so on, and you're really ready to roll up your sleeves and work on the critical 10% that makes it a brilliant 90% of the time, that gets you 90% of what you want, then fill out that form and we'll be in touch with you within 24 hours or so, telling you how to, what to do next to make sure that we can get you on my calendar, and we will talk to see if it's a good fit. All right. We do have a raised hand. Okay. Craig, I've promoted you to panelist. Craig, just be warned, your video is on. Hey, you had a question? I don't hear you though.
I just unmuted myself.
Okay, now I hear you.
Okay. Yeah, so I suspect that choosing an ideal client is a big part of being able to.
A little bit low though. Yeah.
There. Okay. Choosing an ideal client, that's probably one of the crucial steps in not having to brag about your expertise. You just you will have focused a lot better on that.
Okay, I'm not sure where you're going with this, but does this answer your question? I think that's right. You're asking, you at least have to pick the right client, the right type of person. Again, that's true. Similar to what Bishal said, though, is that it's not like you're walking into a supermarket and you have your choice of brands of tomato juice, all right, or cereal boxes or types, right? It could be that simple for some, but the way we approach it is it's really a combination of three things. The most basic questions that we lead everybody through, as you know, is number one, what is a problem I help solve and a result that I enable? Two sides of the same coin. What's a problem I help solve? What's a result that I enable? Number two, who has those problems? Who wants those results? And number three, what are the qualities and characteristics of my ideal clients? And where the answers to those three questions overlap, that's where you start to see your ideal client. Now, some people will come to us and they already know who their ideal client is. And that's, of course, a big advantage. They'll end up moving faster. Other people, they are clearer about a certain skill set or certain kinds of problems they can help solve, but they've possibly never sold it before. And it will take them longer to figure out exactly how, who is the buyer for this type, for getting this, who really has this problem, who really wants that result, and then getting in front of them. So it's really, you definitely, the clearer you are as to who the ideal client is, of course, the easier it is to do everything else. But like most things, it's not black and white in most cases. Does that clarify for you?
Yeah, thanks.
All right, excellent. Very good. All right, hey, we're getting some interaction. Nice to see some people raising their hands. I don't know how to, oh, there we go. I did it, I remembered, I found it. Okay, last chance to raise your hand or we will call it a day. All right, have a good day, everybody. Welcome, and keep an eye open for next Thursday, 1 p.m., me saying this, I suppose, means I am going to be doing it, committing to doing it next Thursday, 1 p.m. If you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover, dovgordon@dovgordon.net, email me, and we'll see what we can do about covering them on future Client Alchemy Show episodes. Bye.